The Daily Wire just put out a movie called Lady Ballers. It's essentially, they just did an even more, like an intentionally transphobic Joanna Man, which was a basketball movie back in the day. Shoe0nHead watched it to do a review. Let's see about it. This is the video. Cringe. Yeah. I'm not watching Lady Ballers. We're gonna watch a review of Lady Ballers. Definitely better than that.
So I spent a few days lurking around the internet looking for reviews of the Daily Wire's new movie, Lady Ballers.
In a world where women's sports is being transformed, the Daily Wire calls foul with the most triggering comedy of the year, Lady Ballers.
And I could not for the life of me find one that was even remotely neutral. They were either very progressive, find one that was even
critical drinker? I don't know who that is. Right wing, maybe?
Neutral. They were either very progressive people talking about how the movie was awful without actually seeing the movie, or right-wing Daily Wire fans saying it was a great movie, the best movie
without actually seeing the movie. Man, the premise is transphobic. What did you hope that I would be like, you know what? All these weak transphobias, one of them will break through and make me chuckle, you know? Like, maybe as a movie review, I have no idea. There's just no reason to watch it. I wouldn't pay them any money for it, that's for sure.
Ever even. The Rotten Tomatoes score does not help much because you have to be a paying member of the Daily Wire to watch the movie. So I decided, f*** it, I'm gonna review it.
I hate that intro.
Also, I've heard from several different little birdies that Jeremy Boring, the creator and main character of this film, is a fan of mine. So, hi Jeremy, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. So let's just quickly get into like a summary of the movie before I give my personal opinion of it. The movie opens up in 2008 and we see the main character, played by Jeremy Boring, coaching a high school basketball team. His team is down at halftime, but he gives a speech in the locker room and leads them to victory. Fast forward to present day, and Jeremy is now a high school teacher and a divorced dad. He has a good relationship with his daughter and seemingly is friends.
Dude, the way they try to make Matt Walsh a guy that people are like, yeah, I like that person. He's a funny individual. Having seen the clips from this, he's still just Matt Walsh doing a bad impression. Do you not taking the fact that this dude is a fan of hers as a warning sign that maybe she's become much more right-wing is troubling? Well.
Friendly with his ex-wife, and even her new boyfriend. And in this house we believe type lib, played by Matt Walsh in a wig. In a blink and you miss it scene, Jeremy's character is fired over the phone and looks for new employment. He returns to a store he used to work at, which has been turned into a drag bar. There he sees one of the guys who played on his basketball team all those years ago, Alex, wearing a wig and working at the restaurant. Jeremy convinces Alex to join a running competition for some reason, but Alex forgot to take
All-City Track and Field prizes up to $5,000 per heat? How? No place has $5,000 run. Are you kidding me? This isn't a thing.
Take off his wig from work, and then they think he's a trans woman, so they enter him in the women's sprint instead. Going against women, Alex obviously dominates the competition and wins the prize money.
He obviously dominates.
Alex and Jeremy decide to get the old basketball team of has-beens back together in order to qualify for what is basically the Olympics or something. Right. They convince them pretty easily by explaining that they will be winners again if they dress up like women.
It's fascinating that Jeremy Boring and Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles and I don't know who would be the fifth, whoever their fifth is. Fucking Ted Cruz, he's a baller. They didn't challenge any like a WNBA team to 5-on-5. They didn't actually go try to do anything. They had to pretend and LARP that, well, if we did do it, we would totally win a lot. It's just crazy. Just because you're a man, doesn't mean you have skills in sports and stuff. So stupid.
Women and compete against women. Predictably, they dominate the women's teams and make their
and as we know, this is a common thing that happens in basketball. A well-known situation is trans women out here dunking on the ladies, the biological females.
Created the championship game. At the championship game,
see, biological females just have such heavy wombs. They can't jump as high.
The opposing team shows up and is composed of entirely big black dudes, also pretending to be women. Jeremy has a change of heart and tells the team what they've been doing is wrong, and substitutes his team for his daughter and his friends. They lose big time, but Jeremy and his ex-wife and all the team are happy for doing the right thing. The end.
That's the movie?
The whole movie was kind of sold as like, remember when movies were offensive? Remember humor? And if I'm being completely honest, this movie lacked in both humor and offense.
Hell yeah. So I think a thing the right does is they rage bait, and then it's so ineffective that I'm more mad you tried to bait me with something that didn't deliver than I am about the like thing you were trying to bait me on initially. Ben admitted to saying they tried to convince them to do it, but none of the men wanted to take the steps to actually necessary to be in women's competitions, i.e. medical diagnosis and extended period on HRT. Right. Of course they wouldn't. Because it's... I mean, it's a you'd have to take major changes to yourself. They couldn't even get an exhibition match set up where Jeremy Boring, Ben Shapiro, all 5'3" of them were out here trying to play against actual women who played basketball, literally at like any level. I do not think that Ben Shapiro, Jeremy Boring, Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, and fucking, I don't know, who, I still can't think of a fifth Daily Wire individual. Who's that girl they have now? That looks like, it looks like who they would hire if Abby Shapiro had a good personality. Jordan Peterson, Brett Cooper. Have Brett Cooper be the captain of that team. I bet she'd be the best basketball player of all of them.
Let's talk about the humor first, then we will talk about the offense.
We'll return after these messages.
Straight up though, the best leftists could beat the best right wingers in a pickup game. I'm just saying. And that's how you know.
Whenever some big controversy happens, it's always hard to get some unbiased coverage of what exactly is happening. That's why for almost 3 years now...
Excellent. We're gonna skip the ad. For almost 3 years now, you've what?
I have been using Ground News. Ground News is a website and app that gives readers an easy and transparent way to
Boris Johnson.
read the news. For example, when we look at that scandalous story about the Senate staffer incident, thanks for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad. I was not
cool. Really cool.
Quite sure of the tone this movie was going for. Great. When I first saw the trailers, I thought maybe it was going to be like a spoof.
I had a cousin tell me once, yeah, I like to get my sources of information from the most obscure place possible so I know it's true. And it's like, that's not how trueness works. Anyway.
For a parody of like early 2000s comedy sports films. Like the trailer had the font and the slapstick and the announcer guy.
From hero to shero.
Rob Schneider is a carrot. Like I kind of thought it was going to be a more self-aware, ironic type of movie, a la Zoolander or Tropic Thunder or something.
Why did you think that? Why? Fucking air up there, dude. Why would you? What evidence did you have to support the fucking assumption that the Daily Wire was going to put out a Tropic Thunder level comedy? What the fuck are you saying to me right now? As a millennial man, I'm fucking offended that you would say that. This is I'm actually triggered by this. Ridiculous.
Something. But from the beginning of the movie,
Absolutely
it was
ridiculous.
obvious that was not happening. It just kind of felt like a Adam Sandler movie. Not like 90s
Don't
Adam
fucking
Sandler,
say
not
that.
like Uncut Gems Adam Sandler, but like Jack and Jill Adam Sandler. I guess I had higher comedic expectations for
Jack and Jill is 100% better than Lady Ballers. I guarantee it. And I've seen Jack and Jill, and it is bad.
The Daily Wire for some reason. But every time the movie tried to do like actual movie things and movie humor, it was bad. I went in thinking the political parts of the movie would be the corniest and the worst parts, but they were actually better than when the movie tried to be a movie. A lot of the jokes were extremely predictable and like jokes we've heard millions of times. The comedic timing on a lot of the jokes was awful. Things just lingered for a really long time. The pacing was all over the place in this
We're not going to get any clips from this movie during this. Is it because it's behind a paywall?
entire movie. It felt like it actually skipped some scenes because something would happen and I'd be like, wait, like, why did that happen? Did I miss something? No, I didn't miss something. That was just thrown in there. And it kind of just felt like they threw them in because they remember, like, oh, this is supposed to be a comedy. Also, something like randomly exploded, and I had no idea why.
This movie review is bad. We should have more clips involved, or at least stills like that. That was an improvement. I can't really envision this in my head, you know? I didn't see their fucking movie. Expectation from Daily Wire. Okay, what the fuck? She really lost it. I don't know, dude.
I still have no idea why. But I did laugh. I laughed 3 times. Once was when Matt Walsh's lib character was trying like way too hard to be a good ally, and he was like, I see you. Because I've known people like that. We've all known people like that. The second time was when
Like a crystal mom or something? Why is she scared of copyright claim from Daily Wire? I have no idea.
Jeremy Boring called his ex-wife a TERF, because I don't know, it was just kind of funny to see that word in a movie. It was just kind of like jarring. Third and final time I laughed was when Michael Knowles and Brett Cooper were the newscasters. Increasingly, every time it cuts back to them, they're trying way too hard. They're like overcompensating to look not racist, not bigoted. And Michael Knowles goes, "Get off my land, white man." And I don't know, the comedic timing was well done for once. Maybe I was just deprived and starved for humor at that point.
I feel deprived and starved right now as well. I feel deeply deprived. Uber cringe. So, like, they're in full fucking headdress shit, and it's like cringe racism, right? What?
But it did get a laugh out of me. Humor is subjective, so I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of like slapstick. It's like, oh, a man in a wig gets punched in the balls. A lot of the jokes were already outplayed years ago, to the point where I was honestly surprised they didn't throw in that clip of the crying Hillary supporter somewhere. Also, Jeremy Boring is a BDSM sub through the whole thing. He's constantly like being slapped and licked and tied up by women through the entire movie.
There we go, clips.
So that was interesting.
He
Quentin
likes being tied
Tarantino
up.
moment. Let's talk about the offense part.
I know you're not a woman.
Hey, you don't know how he identifies.
Like I said, this movie was very oversold as this boundary-pushing, triggering commentary.
With the most triggering comedy of the year.
And you would honestly think that by reading, like, left-wing news outlets, like, both sides were selling this movie as this, like, super edgy...
No, they weren't. What left wing? You watched it, no one was like, oh my god. People were like, this looks fucking lame, dude. This is cringe. This is what everyone's take has been. Who is she listening to? The lefties were they were outraged. Oh my god, dude. Everyone is simply just fuck you, Daily Wire. This is what the vibe is. Everybody is like eye rolling.
offensive movie, but it really wasn't. Like, yeah, some of the jokes were like, trans people, am I right? But they weren't very clever or funny or new. I'm not one of those people who think we can't make offensive jokes. about certain groups of people. Of course not. In fact, I think that's a big part of acceptance. I feel like it's fair game to make fun of everyone. Gay, trans, straight, disabled.
Sure, why are you making fun of him, though? Like, what's the thing you're making fun of him about? You're just going, haha, trans? What's the joke? Right? What a fucking lame take.
Man, woman, black, brown, Asian, normal. Nobody should be off the table. But despite the outrage,
Disabled, bi flag, normal is white. Yeah, she's doing little jokes.
And the hype, this movie was kind of milquetoast. Honestly, the people calling it like super bigoted and transphobic are giving them way.
Dude, she does this thing and she tries to lampshade it like, haha, I don't actually think that. But she does it every time.
Way too much credit. And maybe I'm just really online, but I've seen trans people make jokes on Twitter about trans people that were more edgy and offensive than this movie. I'm just saying.
Trans people can usually, depending on what they're saying, they can usually make fun of themselves and other trans people just fine. I wouldn't say that any of the things that they say when they're making jokes about themselves or their own community or whatever are transphobic, though. Like, that's the difference. Like, it's the difference between Ricky Gervais being like, you can't wear a dress, I'm edgy, and, like, you know, trans women, you know, talking about, like, man, don't we all like to code or something? I don't know. We sure do like purple.
If you're going to sell yourself like this, I'm not expecting jokes like my boomer mom would make. I'm not expecting jokes that I made in 2015. You know what I mean? Also, a lot of the jokes aren't going to age very well. There was a Dylan Mulvaney, like, Bud Light joke in there. Like, in 10 years, like, is anyone going to remember that? I don't know. It is a really big deal to them, so maybe. Honestly, South Park did a way better job at tackling this subject. And one of the things South Park does very well is make fun of both sides, which this movie never did even once. And I think was a huge problem, and I think held it back a lot. I understand that this is basically just a Daily Wire fan film. Like, this was just a movie for the fans. This was just a movie for the people that want to see Ben Shabibo, and they want to see their guys. They want to see their favorite guys. They want to hear the two gender jokes. Say!
Dude, she talks like Greg, and Greg talks like her. They still both do this thing. They do it together. Very weird.
But I feel like they really could have thrown in some jabs and some jokes about conservatives or the right. I feel like being more self-aware would have made this movie more grounded. And
it's the Daily Wire. Self-awareness. Man.
It's cold.
I agree. Some self-awareness could go a long way for a lot of people. You Neffel! Thanks for following it.
Possibly funnier. Maybe have like an in-universe Daily Wire who are making YouTube videos and live streaming about the situation at hand. Like, maybe one of the commentators from the in-universe Daily Wire confronts the team, and the team has to pretend to disagree with them. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, bigot. Maybe even make the character Ben Shapiro. Like, have Ben Shapiro play an exaggerated version of Ben Shapiro. I don't know, I feel like it was missing something like that, because like all the jabs at liberals were so cartoonishly over the top that it almost felt like I was scrolling through cat turds Truth Social page. If you're going for this universe where
yeah, of course. Like, what? Absolutely. Can't believe the Daily Wire movie sucked. Are you new? What have you been up to? Gosh. She's so clueless. Uneffel says, binging yours and Vosh vids on YouTube. Glad to make a stream. Hope all's well. Hey, happy to have you. We welcome the Vooshers.
everything is amped up to 100. Everyone's just a walking stereotype. I think it would have been a good move to go a little bit South Park, because otherwise you're just kind of being like any of these other Hollywood things that pokes fun of just the right, but like the opposite. And if you want to stand out and attract a more like normie, sort of apolitical, swing voter demographic to your movie, I feel like you gotta be a little smarter and more self-deprecating with your jokes.
That's not who they're trying to get, though. They're far right. And they're just transphobic, and they're not funny people. Yeah. What the fuck did she think she was watching? Did she think the Daily Wire are like center, like right? That's surprising. Yeah. I don't know why she's surprised about the Daily Wire.
Or
This
else
is
you're just
stupid,
the
dude.
same thing we've seen 5 million times and we're all tired of. Like the old
A Voosh friend, yeah. Well, some people hate Voosh. I don't understand why I hate Voosh. I understand why not watch Voosh, but I don't understand like the fomentation of hatred. I think the worst thing Vosh does is he uses the R slur too much, and people now use it more because he does, and he should have more awareness of his impact on that. Although I don't think he cares, but I think it hurts people. That's the worst thing, in my opinion, that he does regularly. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, I like agree with him pretty much in general. Yeah. I don't really think we have many disagreements. I mean, maybe we have some disagreements about how we talk. Like about certain issues, of course. But he can get pride shit made me non-watch or like him, but I thought he was fine about Kink at Pride. Shoe0nHead has the terrible takes on Kink on Pride. I don't know. I'd say. I mean, you know, he's not a guy in a corn suit, so he's not perfect, but you know,
old dodgeball movie.
he came around on Kink at Pride. Good. Why are you whining at me, buddy? Come here. Little doggy action. Give me a little doggy situation here. What's wrong, man? Oh, what's wrong? You're whining. What do you need from me, my boy? Are you okay? Are you gonna be good? Go ask Mom. See what Mom's doing. And there he goes. Anyway, let's listen to why Shu is confused why the Daily Wire movie wasn't good.
And like those old comedies from the early 2000s, they were not targeted towards a certain demographic. They were just targeted towards people who wanted to laugh. And
Dude, she loves a Republican and she desperately wants Republicans not to be like dog shit people. She's like, oh my God, there's some good ones. If only they had taken a more middling approach. Yeah. I mean, they're just all dog shit, man. They're just all dog shit.
I feel like this movie could have been done that way, but it was just way too politically charged on one side. Of course it was. Again, it's the Daily Wire. I get it. I'm just adding my opinion, what I would have done. Apparently they only worked on this for 6 months. The production value looks fine, but it really shows in the writing. You can have all the money and make a decent looking film, but money can't buy you talent. They needed to get some actual comedians or comedy writers in on this, which might be hard because nobody probably wants their name attached to the Daily Wire. My advice to the Daily Wire crew is if you're gonna make political comedy in the year 2023 when like everyone's like sick of this bullshit, they're sick of the culture war, try to poke fun at both sides. Maybe hire Ryan Long to help you on
both sides. I don't know. Who the fuck is Ryan Long and why are we endorsing him?
the next one, because he's pretty good at that. And maybe I'm just yearning for something that is that, and maybe it doesn't exist and will never exist. Oh well. Also, this movie didn't feel like...
Yeah, what if we had a movie that alienated everybody because it was a centrist, fucking middling dog shit? Like, what if we made a movie with nothing to say? What if we made a movie and it was about, like, a topic, and instead of taking one of two extreme positions, which would, of course, just be opposing positions on something, what if we took the dead center position just because it makes me yearning?
Like it had a real ending. Out of nowhere, his daughter is feeling insecure and says, I want to be a boy because boys are better than girls. And Jeremy Boring goes on this whole like motivational speech how like actually like women are great and they're great at raising families and femininity and blah 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 blah. But it feels so out of place and unearned. It felt like a completely different movie out of nowhere. Like, maybe they should have shown the daughter overhearing Jeremy's plans to, like, make his team dress up like women because men can beat women. And maybe the daughter starts to feel insecure when she overhears that.
But that would be a totally different message, and one that Jeremy Boring doesn't believe, Shoe. He the lesson would be Jeremy Boring would be learning the lesson that actually women are capable of doing things better than men. Obviously, we exist in reality. It happens all the time. Women excel where men do not, and it will happen more and more as we get to closer and closer to, some kind of equity in this world. But, like, man, this is just, like, brainless. Of course, Jeremy Boring doesn't believe that. He doesn't have a feminist take on this. He actually doesn't think that women can do things. He told his daughter that, oh, you have value, even though she wanted to play basketball in the movie. Oh, you could be a mom or something. Like, that's a skill. Like, being a good mom is a skill. Being a mom at all is not a skill. Getting knocked up is literally just like, usually one of two things. You were a victim of the patriarchy and the many myriad of ways you could do. Or you were like, well, I guess that's also a victim of the patriarchy. You were probably just a victim of the patriarchy. I would be very surprised to find a young mother that I wouldn't consider totally a victim of that. But he's not Jeremy. Interesting. He's not.
That didn't happen. It just kind of came out of nowhere. It just became like female empowerment. Daily Wire gone woke.
Why do you feel empowered by women can be moms? What? Why is that empowering? Ugh. How are you not just fucking, like, gagged by that? How are you not, like, bored by this?
It's also the thing, like, every time this movie felt like it was becoming a movie, it just ran away from it. For example, one of Jeremy's team members sees the opposing team of women, like, crying.
That's Clay Travis, a sports adjacent right-winger.
And being upset because, like, they beat them.
She's not dating a Christo fascist. She married him.
And he starts to have, like, second thoughts and a change of heart, and he feels bad. And I remember being like, oh my god, it's becoming a movie. Something's happening. And literally, like, a minute later, that's just gone. It's gone. It's just, it immediately moves on to more overdone jokes about trans people and libs and jokes I've heard from funnier people 7 years ago. And that's the biggest thing. There were no stakes in this movie. Like, they could have made it so Jeremy Boring's character was about to be evicted or something. Like, they could have shown him living in a really shitty apartment. Maybe he's losing connection with his daughter, and his daughter thinks he's a loser who never wins at anything. But there was really nothing driving this motivation for him to win this competition besides winning. I didn't feel bad for the main character. I really was not rooting for him. He was kind of a dirtbag. I didn't find myself, like, wanting him to win or the team. Like, there was,
of course, of course. Even Jeremy Boring's literal self-insert good guy character is a dirtbag. Yeah.
There's nothing likable about these people. Matt Walsh's character was the most likable character in this movie. Matt Walsh. And believe me,
it's because he was the furthest left character. Because simply the crime of being cringe and supportive is still a supportive person, right? Like, oh no, they're cringe. I'm surprised. She's actually just pretty... She's pretty dumb, yeah. She's not a very smart person. She's easily duped. She seems deeply naive and unintelligent and not very good at critical thinking. And that sucks, man. I mean, that's just what it is. I really used to give her the benefit of the doubt. I was like, man, it really sounds like sometimes she gets it. And it just really wasn't the case. We really just needed a lefty with Riz that could have gotten over the fact that she's a right-winger. And then she would have been a left-wing. Because she was literally just agreed with Greg on everything when they dated. She is that naive, though. She changes her opinion on this shit. There was a little bit there. There was she had like a 6-month window, like 2 years ago, where she was like, she made like 4 videos in a row or something where it's like, okay. She had like a conversation with Vosh and stuff. It's just stupid. Just stupid, dude.
My favorite show is Always Sunny. I love when characters are dirtbags. But in Always Sunny, the voice of reason is the audience.
And it's written by left-wing people. And the opinions expressed are left-wing.
Characters are the butt of the joke. The characters here were not the butt of the joke. It just completely dropped the ball in so many different ways. No pun intended. In conclusion, if you are a fan of The Daily Wire, this movie is definitely for you. You'll point and soy face at the cameos from Ben Shapiro and all your favorite guys. You'll agree with all the jokes. You'll be spoon-fed everything you agree with. This movie's just one big circle jerk pandering to you, and I get why that would be enjoyable. So bone apple teeth, but
what does that say? Oh, bone app the teeth.
But for everyone else, I honestly don't know. I feel like it being behind a Daily Wire subscription really hurts it. Like,
oh yeah, that's what the fuck. Yeah. Oh. Dude, she's actually the things that she thinks about for the very first time on camera.
You guys should really make it available for everyone to watch so we could be the judge. I watched it with my husband, who is a conservative, and he had a very similar opinion to me. He basically just liked the Michael Knowles cameo parts. I mostly found myself just rewriting this movie in my mind after every scene was over. And I guess it's because I myself miss, like, goofy, stupid, edgy movies. Remember when you could say but this was just kind of nothing.
You can still do edgy movies. It just means something different now. There are so many edgy movies. There's so many edgy things that are out. Have you seen a Cronenberg movie lately? Infinity Pool or something? Pretty edgy. I'm watching Dead Ringers, the remake with Rachel Weisz. Pretty edgy. The Boys, so edgy. A lot of this stuff, I don't know, man. There's just no saving these people. They have no media literacy whatsoever.
You shouldn't blindly trash it because of
Jesus.
Dylan Burns! Welcome, Dylan Burnsers! This is a good time right at the end of the Shoe0nHead video to let everybody know that I might show up tomorrow. I'll be showing up tomorrow. For a little bit of we're called dildos. That's good to know. The Burnsers. You guys want to be dildos? I'm in. Yeah. We'll pop into the hippy dippy tomorrow. Welcome dildos to the stream. I'm in Cobb today. How nice. If you don't insert the dildos into your life. Well, if you want some hot Cobb, now's the time to do it. Get cobbed up, chat. You see many uncobbed now. Totally disgusting. Absolutely ridiculous. We're watching Shoe0nHead's review of the Lady Ballers Daily Wire movie, and we're right at the end of it. So I'll finish this, and then we'll hang out for a second. Dildos, get your joints ready. We're going to smoke a little together.
Political reasons. I think it's possible to think a movie's pretty good even if you don't agree with the politics in it, and you shouldn't blindly defend it because of political reasons. You shouldn't blindly defend it because it owns.
Did she just say, did I just mistake her? We caught her in the middle of that sentence. Did she just say this is good?
Movies. Remember when you said political reasons? I kind of nothing. You shouldn't blindly trash it because of political reasons. I think it's possible to think a movie's pretty good even if you don't agree with.
She didn't say, she said she didn't like it though. Why would she say I think it's possible for you to like a movie that you don't agree with politically? Sure, I guess. I'm trying to think of a right-wing movie that I liked. I don't know. Gran Torino, is that right-wing? I don't think he took his own advice from Gran Torino, which was, hey, you maybe you shouldn't have been racist the whole time. You were racist. Clint Eastwood, and you shouldn't have been. But he was. Die Hard, is that a right-wing movie? Is Die Hard right-wing? Dude, Die Hard is crazy. He's literally unhinged in that movie. He fucking plays with dead bodies. Writes messages on them and shit. He's nuts.
With the politics in it, and you shouldn't blindly defend it because of political reasons. You shouldn't blindly defend it because it owns the libs. I'm gonna eat this pile of shit because the other team hates piles of shit. Also,
dude, Tim Pool would eat a pile of shit. If we could convince him it would trigger us enough, Tim Pool would eat scoops of shit. I mean, like ice cream scoops of shit. He would definitely eat it. Take big old bites. Be like, oh, fuck you, libs. He's so fucking fake. To eat 10 metric tons of shit. He'd suck on a turd, though. Michael Knowles would do it for free in his private life.
so Michael Knowles and Matt Walsh and all these
You ever seen a man more into shit play than Michael Knowles? You can't read a lot of books by their cover. You can read this one. This man wants shit on his chest right now.
These guys have been doing reaction videos to critics of this movie, but I highly doubt they'll do one of mine. I don't think I was triggered sufficiently enough. That is my review. Have you seen it? What did
I wasn't triggered enough.
you think of it? If you didn't see it, what is your favorite
I'm not paying
offensive
the
movie?
Daily
If you like
Wire
this
for this.
video, please consider.
No thanks. So I saw a comment on here. What was it? The most triggering part of this video is when Shoe mentioned she had a husband. And then Shoe, my husband is a conservative, 80% of Shoe's audience. So you're saying there's a chance. Weird stuff. Yeah, I mean, you know. I'm not surprised she's right. Why did the chat die? Did I press a button I shouldn't have pressed? Usually the chat persists in between scenes. What did I do? A little clapping cheeks if you want. I don't know. So, I mean, I don't think I'll be watching the Lady Ballers movie. Even Shoe0nHead couldn't say she liked it. She just said it sucked. And then her audience was like, Mommy, what if I was the conservative boy you chose? It's all quite cringe. Excellent work, Shoe0nHead.